third and final peculiar trait of wealthy people is that they don't give a damn what you think about them.
Yeah. You especially. No, I'm kidding.
Actually, our listeners do care what I think about them.
Kidding.
They do. They should.
In the article, I quoted from Scott Adams, who's the writer of the Dilbert comic. And he had a great quote. He's a really smart guy, and he's written some smart books. And he has a quote where he said, if you want to get ahead at anything in life, you need to figure out the cost, figure out the price of success, and then pay that price. And the price of success in finance, to get ahead financially, it seems really simple and obvious, but I think we don't talk about it enough. It's just living below your means. And most people aren't willing to do that. And specifically what I mean is, for most people, if they were to get a raise of $100, their material aspirations would rise by 100 or 101. And the only way to grow wealthy over time is to get a $100 raise and have your aspirations grow by significantly less than that. So can you get a $100 raise and not spend it? Most people aren't willing to do that. They're just going to keep ratcheting their lifestyle up with the money that they accrue, either in wealth or in salary. And the only way to truly gain wealth over time is to live far below that. And that's extremely rare. A lot of this started with the book, The Millionaire Next Door, in the 1990s, which started with a simple question that the author, what was his name?
Thomas Stanley.
Thomas Stanley. I knew there was a Stanley, but I thought it was his first name.
And Danko was the co-author.
It started with a simple question of how can I think it was a construction worker. How can a construction worker be wealthier than a dentist? And it turns out that absolutely can be the case. If the construction worker is living significantly below their means, and the dentist is living paycheck to paycheck, and a lot of them do, then the construction worker is legitimately going to be wealthier than the dentist. And a lot of times you don't think about that, but the correlation between income and wealth is lower than people think. What gains wealth is your savings rate, which doesn't have a lot to do with your income.
Yeah, and in a post on a Wall Street Journal blog, I think it was Thomas Stanley, the co-author of the book, who sadly passed away, I think it was a year ago, said that income explains maybe 30% of wealth.
Yeah.
The rest of it is what you do with that money.
Yeah. Which is why we don't pay bro anything.
That's true.
And he's still doing
and
okay.
I'm still wealthy.
Up
he just shows
every
up.
I sleep
day.
here.
Still
I
rich.
get my food from the company refrigerator. It's excellent.
Well, tying it back to the whole point about they don't give a damn what you think about them, though, this kind of gets back to what we talked about last week about how one of the benefits that you get out of buying stuff is that emotional benefit of what does it say about me, and how does this thing change how other people perceive me. So I drive a Bentley because I want people to think I'm wealthy and whatever.
And how we feel about ourselves.
How we feel about
you
ourselves.
You want to make yourself feel good because, look, I'm driving this nice car. I must be worth something.
Well, I think, when people have if someone's driving a Bentley, they don't actually, I think, get pleasure from driving the Bentley. They get pleasure from what they anticipate is that other people will give them respect and admiration for having that much money. But I think that oftentimes, by a larger amount than a lot of people think, that's a false sense of what's going on. Like, very few people see someone driving a Bentley and think, that guy is cool. That guy is successful. I think what people think is, if I had that car, people would think I'm successful and cool. That's kind of what, no one really cares about the guy driving the car.
Right.
They picture themselves having that. So it's a false sense of, I used to live in Los Angeles where, especially back during that credit boom when you could finance anything, Bentleys were pretty free. And I never looked at the driver as with a sense of admiration.
That guy.
No.
When I see a car like that, my first reaction, this is partially from reading The Millionaire Next Door, is that person must be in a lot of debt. Because most studies indicate that that's probably true. People in very large houses have very large mortgages and big cars.
If you see someone driving a $100,000 car, the only thing you know about their finances is that they have $100,000 less dollars than they did before they bought the car. You don't know anything else about them.
When you throw in the interest on the loan, it might
little bit
even be
less.
worse. Yeah. The Millionaire Next Door found that the average millionaire, their savings rate is 20%.
Yeah.
And there was a study from Fidelity that looked at their biggest 401ks, and they basically came to the same conclusion. So that's also another common trait among the people who have more wealth. They're saving a significant amount of their money, $1 for every $5 that they make.
Yeah. All right, so there you have it. 3 peculiar traits of wealthy people that even you can emulate. So the first one is to be just a little bit of a sociopath and try to, as Warren Buffett said, be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. Also, think long term. Think very, very long term because most other people aren't. And finally, Don't worry what the neighbors think about you. And for the love of God, don't drive a Bentley because the three of us are judging you
Don't
severely.
care. Don't care.
Oh, yeah, we
Right.
don't care.
We will
That's
not
true.
be impressed. We will be unimpressed.
We'll be the opposite of unimpressed.
Bro will
of
probably
impressed.
key your Bentley.